I felt burned, kind of. And that's a long story that nobody really needs to get into, but I felt over it. I felt like I put my all into it and got like nothing in return. It was a big turnoff, you know what I mean? When I decided to quit, I just kind of just gradually over time, just kind of washed my hands of it. It took a little time for me to shake it off, I guess. It took me a bunch of years to shake it off. I guess it kind of took everybody a few years to shake off.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in Scott from Demiricous. How are you doing today?
Super good, man. So far, so good.
One of my very first reviews as a professional reviewer was the first full length from this band. So super cool, full circle moment for me. Well before Ghost Cult, over 15 years as a band for you, maybe 20 actually, 10 years almost for Ghost Cult. My journalism career is right in between 15 and 20 at this point. So super cool to talk to you today, Scott.
Thanks, man. Thank you. It has been 20, but I mean, it's not really fair to say that because we did take, whatever it was, 12, 13 years off after things fell apart there for a little bit. But, we're back.
Nice. Glad to have you back, man. Glad to have you back. We need those thrash metal vibes in our life. Extreme music for extreme times, to paraphrase Karate Kid and show how old I am, or Karate Kid 2, actually. So super fun. You have a brand new record coming out May 13th, 3 officially. And, life gets in the way of things sometimes, like a music career. Things take over, family, other things. And, that's the breaks. And super cool that you guys kind of reassembled. And let's hear about that. How did you guys reassemble and put this record together?
Like the band itself, the relationships never fell apart. You know what I mean? It was mostly I'm going to blame it on money and mismanagement, and then us getting tired of dealing with money and mismanagement. And then so we were just kind of fuck it, right? We're done. This has kind of been a big pain in the ass, right? 3 out of the 4 of us grew up skateboarding together. I mean, we've been best friends for, we still skateboard together, believe it or not. I just turned 45 the other day, and I still do it once or twice a week. So we, the relationship has always been fucking solid. We've always been best friends, I don't know if I want to mention one of your competitors, but Metal Sucks, they 3 years ago or something like that, they came out with this article on if you like this band, then you might like this band type of shit. You know what I mean? And they mentioned us, right? And Dustin, our drummer, was just what are we doing? Should we try again? What the fuck are we doing? We're not doing anything. Let's do something. You want to do something? People are still maybe giving a shit. So we were yeah, I don't, what the fuck? I'm not doing anything. Let's do it. So we started off slow. We started playing we had a reunion show or whatever, you know what I mean? In town in Indianapolis, and that just kind of got the wheels spinning. So we were fuck it. And then just one thing led to another. And we're just let's write a fucking full length. Who gives a shit about anything? And here we are,
And a lot of changes in the business since then and since you first came out. And weirdly, the Midwest, especially Indiana, has a very cool, awesome underground heavy metal and thrash metal scene that a lot of people are taking notice of. And maybe your band was the original one of those original sparks in the area to make that happen.
I hesitate to take too much credit, but dude, because there have been some really fucking good bands that have come out of here that haven't really maybe gotten, the recognition or or whatever. But that doesn't mean they weren't equally as good, if not better, man. Like Harakiri back in the day. I don't know if you ever, they were on Willow Tip, but now we're killing it with Mother of Graves, who has old Harakiri members. Obscene is they're about to drop another album too. I think the week after theirs drops. I don't know if you've checked out Obscene, but they are fucking solid. I mean, there's some killers, man. Grave Ripper, that Wise Blood Records is out of here, and that dude Sean has been absolutely killing it, dude.
I love Sean. We're huge fans here. He sent me a whole box of shit. One of their bands on their roster, Lavaborn, their main guy, was one of our writers for a long time, for about a year plus. I wouldn't say a long. It felt like a long time because it was during the pandemic, so time doesn't matter anymore. But it's we're in a casino with no clocks and windows.
Yeah. I kind of But yeah, that dude's a workhorse, man. But he's also like the nicest dude possible. You know, that's the one cool thing that like Indiana has, man. We've all been on each other's team like the whole fucking time, like for as long as I can remember. And everybody's just been, there's a kinship here that you can't really fuck with. It's kind of awesome.
Super cool. Love to hear it. And yeah, shout out to Wise Blood. Big fans of Sean. You know what's really great is, so you have this new record. It's kind of like, if I didn't know there was a big break in between, I would think this was just like a few years later than the last ones. You guys have kept your identity and your sound pristine, you know, with a few, obviously a nice sonic update. But, you know, it's the same band. It sounds like it could have been the next, it should have been the next record, would have been a few years later.
Yeah, we didn't change the formula much. I don't think. I mean, there's some differences. Like you can tell there's some differences, but I think the main one you'll notice is like, at least in my mind, I think Nate would say the same thing. Nate's the bassist drummer or bassist singer. He just sounds more like himself than ever before. I think. Yeah, I think he got what he's been searching for the whole damn time we've been a band. On this one, that has a lot to do with us just kind of being in charge of the whole thing this time, instead of you know, all the powers that be kind of being on top of us, and you know, deadlines and money and whatever, you know what I mean. Not to talk shit about anything that happened before, but this time it was just all ours. We recorded it in town with friends of ours. The timeline was like zero. It was up to us. Like, so whenever it was done, it was done. You know, luckily we got a lot of really good friends. Wes over at 1857 Studios is where we recorded it and did a perfect job. But I mean, it just gave us like an opportunity to just like, there's no like, when you only have a month to record a fucking album and the drums take 2 or 3 weeks, you know, it's like, you know, it's just like, it's a big fucking rush, you know what I mean? And you're just kind of like, okay, let's get it done, you know? But this time it was just like, all right, let's get this fucking exactly what we want it to be, you know? And I think you'll notice that with Nate, man. He like all the grit and fucking attitude and just piss and vinegar that he wanted to put on the album is just, you could feel it.
Absolutely, 100%. I've been jamming the record and he sounds incredible. And he always had kind of like an early, you know, along a certain timeline, a lot of vocalists, you know, they show their influences. He always had kind of like a little, I thought like a little bit of early Max Cavalera in him, like death metal Sepultura, 80s, early 90s, before they got, you know, a little different, more hardcore and screamy. But yeah, man, he's doing his own thing here. It is very strong. And
Yep.
these tracks are no filler, all killer, man. There's just nothing. I wouldn't take anything away from this release. It's tight.
I'm psyched. We'll see how everybody else feels, but I feel that way too. I really feel like it's a fucking solid piece that kind of has peaks and valleys.
You know, obviously the band at a certain point was like, we're gonna put this on pause. Not the friendship, like you said, which I love to hear. If I got on a skateboard right now, I get hurt really bad. But you know, I think that's awesome that you guys are still out there hanging and skating. But in the meantime, in that break time, did you get rid of all your gear? Did you jam once in a while? Did you write little riffs here and there? Or is this all like, I put it down and then I picked it back up again?
Yeah, that was like a legit 12-year fucking hiatus, at least for Demiricous. Like Nate had other projects. I had this one project that I did in the middle of it, but nothing to really mention. At least for me, I even had to rebuy a fucking guitar to make this happen. So yeah, I just kind of I felt burned, you know, kind of. And that's a long story that nobody really needs to get into, but I felt over it. I felt like I put my all into it and got like nothing in return. It was a big turnoff, you know what I mean? When I decided to quit, I just kind of just gradually over time, just kind of washed my hands of it. It took a little time for me to shake it off. I guess it took me a bunch of years to shake it off. I guess it kind of took everybody a few years to shake off. But then after not having to think about it, you know, for a bunch of years, Dustin coming back and kind of rallying the troops, it was kind of like, fuck, yeah, why not? Yeah, why not?
Right on. And Dustin, of course, has been in a bunch of bands of differing success levels. So he surely had another perspective on the grass being greener and things like that. I'm fond of saying it's the music business, not the music friendship. And I also had bands for many years, and you know, they peter out sometimes and they don't get to where you want them to get to, and it's disappointing. But I'm super glad you guys are back, and I hope you stay back. This record is absolutely killer. I love the title, Chaotic Lethal, which is obviously an ode to, you know, sort of the, you know, chaotic neutral, chaotic law, you know, Lawlessness. There's all those. You always see people know it from memes, but it's actually from philosophy, and it's super fun title. Great track, super cool title track. So yeah, like it's a really fun title too.
Doing an interview without Nate, I hate to put words in his mouth, but reading through those lyrics, man, I'm just like, I'm so impressed. He has a way of putting words together that I don't know that I'm capable of. He spends a lot of time pissed off, and you can tell, you know.
He might be mad at some things. Really fun stuff. And yeah, again, I always wonder, I love to ask people this, especially guitar players, like what was the first thing that made you pick up a guitar?
Mine wasn't really that simple. Like I had always like listened to metal or whatever, you know, like I grew up, it's kind of a gradual, like I grew up during like hair metal, you know what I mean? Like when I turned on the radio, that's the shit that was on. So I was listening to, you know, like Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue back in the day or whatever. And then, and that faded out for everybody else, you know, but like I just dug in. So I just wanted harder and harder shit. And I never really thought of myself as like I could be a guitar player or whatever. But then I was 20-ish, and me and my buddy moved to Cincinnati. You know, from Indianapolis, we moved to Cincinnati back in like '97, and I didn't drink or anything back then. And so we would go skateboarding for like fucking 8 hours, you know, 6-8 hours a day, and then we would go home, and I wouldn't have shit to do. I'd just be like fucking dicking around, you know. My roommate's playing video games, and I'm like, man, this just isn't doing it for me, man. I gotta find something to do. So my idea was to just go buy a really shitty PV, like this white PV pile of shit guitar that was never in tune, and a practice amp that barely played anything. You know what I mean? And I bought Slayer and Metallica tablature books. I think Megadeth was in there, and that was enough at the time because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You know what I mean? So I just had like 3 tablature books, and I just like at night we would skateboard all day, and then at night I would just go home and like try to see if I could play something that I sort of recognized. You know what I mean? And you can hear that. I mean, I have a hard time writing a riff that doesn't sound like Slayerific as fuck. So, but I mean, you know, what are you gonna do? That's where I came from.
Both a noun, a verb, and an adjective. Slayerific. We're gonna just go with that. I'm gonna credit you, and we're gonna just use that from now on. I know there's a new phone emoji that's like a melting face, and it's like, yes, metalheads have a new emoji.
No.
We can replace the horns with that now when we are talking about face melting riffs and solos. So yeah, fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of 80s rock and the glam metal and hair metal, maybe hair metal is not a good term. D. Snyder would be mad at me, but maybe a lot of that stuff was the gateway to a lot of people getting into heavier music because there's just great songs, great riffs, and great guitar players from there.
Yeah, dude. And then like you know, people that are just like just a handful of years older than I am were in all of those like killer fucking bands that you know, were in like 91. You know what I mean? Like 91 was like a killer fucking year for like some of the best metal that's, you know, I believe Painkiller came out like right around then. Like, yeah, Sepultura, Rise, like Beneath the Remains, and there's just so many just right in that little area, like 89, 91, you know what I mean? And I can't, you know, attribute that to hair metal necessarily, but for me, it was just kind of like you know, that was the course, you know, my little childhood took, I guess.
And good thing it did. Of course, you know, we're still coming through this really crazy time in the world, but, you know, hopefully you guys, I know you played some shows. Hopefully you will get to do a proper release show. I don't know if you have any touring plans you can talk about yet, but it'd be cool if you could.
We have a release show. It's in our hometown. It's in Indianapolis on the 21st. We just got confirmed. We're opening up for Immolation in Columbus, Ohio. I want to say it's on the 9th of May. I think it's on the 9th. That's brand new, like in the last day or two. And then we're talking about, I mentioned Obscene earlier. We're talking about doing a few weekends in the fall with them. And I think, you know, we haven't done anything for 12 years. I think we're seeing what happens when this album drops, and then maybe there'll be some opportunities out there for us. Maybe get out of the Midwest once or twice, you know.
Killer, man. We would love to see that happen for you, and you know, keep your spirits high. And I appreciate the PMA and the positivity after a long break, coming back with this very strong record. I think a lot of people are going to dig it, and hopefully it opens up some doors for you even better than before. Super cool to talk to you, Scott. Again, Demiricous 3, Chaotic Lethal, coming out May 13th, I believe, on post recordings. I just looked at the screen, so I know it's right.
Those are also friends of ours too, man, who have
Nice.
just been the whole way. So yeah, dude, I don't know. It's all good shit, man. I'm real psyched on it.
Word. Well, we're psyched to talk to you. Thanks so much for hanging out with Ghost Cult, man, and I appreciate you. Best of luck. We'll be checking out the record some more and sharing it up until release time.
Right on, man. Thank you. Thanks for having us.